Golden Tempo, a 23-1 longshot, delivered a seismic upset in the Kentucky Derby, crossing the finish line first and etching trainer Cherie Devaux' name into history. This was not merely a win, it was the first time a female trainer had ever saddled a Derby champion, shattering a 150-year barrier at Churchill Downs. The Phipps Stable and St. Elias Stable colt, dismissed by many in the paddock, defied the odds with a powerful late surge. Jockey Jose Ortiz, known for his tactical prowess, executed a near-perfect ride, navigating the crowded 20-horse field with a calculated patience that belied the chaos unfolding around him. The victory immediately reshaped the narrative of the 2026 Triple Crown season, turning all eyes to a horse and a trainer who had been largely overlooked. The Derby, a race notorious for its unpredictability and the sheer challenge of its field, presented a formidable test. Favorites like Danon Bourbon, with their impressive prep race records, were expected to dominate, drawing significant betting attention and media focus. Yet, the true rivalry of the Derby is always against the track, the distance, and the 19 other contenders vying for the same patch of glory. From the moment the gates crashed open, the thundering hooves signaled a battle for position, a test of nerve and stamina. Golden Tempo's win, clocked at 2 minutes 1 second and 45 milliseconds, was a triumph of strategic planning and raw equine power, a moment that will be replayed and analyzed for years to come. It was a clear statement from a team that believed when few others did, proving that the greatest rival is often the expectation itself. The sheer number of top-tier horses, each with their own story and formidable connections, made Golden Tempo's breakthrough all the more remarkable, a true underdog story unfolding on racing's biggest stage. The initial break from the gate saw a scramble for position, typical of a full Derby field. Jose Ortiz, aboard Golden Tempo, did not rush the colt into the early speed duel. Instead, he settled Golden Tempo mid-pack, hugging the rail through the first turn. This strategic decision kept the horse out of the wide traffic, conserving precious energy while the front runners, including the heavily favored Danon Bourbon, set a blistering pace. The first quarter mile was run in a swift 22.8 seconds, with several horses vying for the lead, pushing each other to the brink. Golden Tempo remained composed, a length or two behind the main cluster, allowing the early pace setters to burn themselves out. Ortiz maintained a steady hand, letting the race unfold in front of him, rather than forcing Golden Tempo into an unsustainable rhythm. This patient approach was the first critical swing, preventing the colt from being caught in the early fray that often derails contenders. As the field thundered past the grandstands for the first time, Golden Tempo was still a picture of controlled power, moving with a fluid stride, his ears pricked, ready to respond when Ortiz asked for more. The early fractions were punishing for those on the lead, and Ortiz's decision to keep Golden Tempo off the pace proved prescient, setting the stage for the later stages of the race. This calculated restraint was the flashpoint, a quiet but decisive move that would pay dividends when the real running began. It was a gamble on stamina over early speed, a choice that few expected from a jockey known for aggressive rides. As the field rounded the far turn, the early leaders began to falter, their fast fractions taking their toll. This was Golden Tempo's cue. Ortiz began to ask the colt for more, and Golden Tempo responded, shifting gears and starting to pick off tiring rivals on the outside. The move was decisive, an answer to the challenge laid down by the early pace, a clear signal that the underdog was now a serious threat. But the race was far from over. As Golden Tempo surged, another contender, 6 Speed, who had also been patiently ridden, found a seam on the inside and launched his own powerful bid. 6 Speed matched Golden Tempo stride for a crucial 16th of a mile, creating a thrilling duel down the stretch. It was a true counter-answer, a moment where it seemed Golden Tempo's momentum might be blunted, and the dream of an upset could fade. The crowd roared as the two horses battled, their jockeys driving them relentlessly, each seeking to gain the slightest advantage. Ortiz, however, had saved just enough in Golden Tempo's tank. He shifted his weight, urging Golden Tempo with every fiber, and the colt found another gear, a deep reserve of stamina. The answer to 6 Speed's challenge was a burst of acceleration that created a half-length advantage, a gap that would prove insurmountable in the final yards. This back and forth, the surge and the counter-surge, defined the critical phase of the race, showcasing both horses' tenacity and the strategic brilliance of their riders. The lead changed hands momentarily, only for Golden Tempo to reclaim it with a display of raw power. The play that settled the 2026 Kentucky Derby was Jose Ortiz's final, perfectly timed drive aboard Golden Tempo. After fending off 6 Speed's challenge, Ortiz knew the race was still not won. He maintained his aggressive posture, leaning low, his whip a blur of encouragement, not punishment, but a rhythmic signal to push harder. Golden Tempo responded, extending his lead in the final 16th of a mile, his powerful legs churning through the dirt. The colt's stamina, carefully preserved by Ortiz's early patient ride, proved to be the decisive factor. While other horses were visibly tiring, their strides shortening, Golden Tempo maintained his powerful, consistent surge, crossing the wire with a clear margin. Ortiz's decision to keep Golden Tempo on the rail for much of the race, then swing out for a clear run, was a masterclass in Derby strategy. He avoided the traffic, saved ground, and unleashed Golden Tempo's closing speed at the precise moment it mattered most, when the other contenders had nothing left. This was not a race won by a single burst, but by a series of calculated decisions culminating in a flawless finish. Ortiz's experience, including his previous Derby wins, allowed him to read the race perfectly, anticipating moves and reacting with split-second precision. He didn't just ride Golden Tempo. He partnered with him, guiding him through the chaos to ultimate victory, a testament to the bond between horse and jockey under immense pressure. Golden Tempo's victory immediately shifts the focus to the Preakness Stakes, the second jewel of the Triple Crown. Cherie Devaux now stands on the precipice of an even rarer achievement, becoming the first female trainer to win 2 legs of the Triple Crown, a feat that would solidify her place in racing history. The win also elevates Golden Tempo from a promising colt to a legitimate Triple Crown contender, a status few would have predicted just hours before the Derby. For owners Phipps Stable and St. Elias Stable, this victory is a profound validation of their breeding and training program, and a significant addition to their storied histories in racing. The Derby win adds a new, unexpected chapter to the annals of the sport, challenging conventional wisdom about favorites and longshots, and proving that the biggest stage can still produce the most surprising outcomes. The rivalry now extends beyond the track to the historical record, with Golden Tempo and Devaux aiming to continue their improbable run against the weight of expectation and the challenge of 2 more grueling races. The question now is whether Golden Tempo can replicate his Derby performance on a different track, against a potentially refreshed field, and under the immense pressure that comes with a Triple Crown bid. This win is not just a single race. It is the opening salvo in a potential historic campaign, forever changing the conversation around female trainers in horse racing and setting a new standard for underdog triumphs.